Welcome to Week 15 of the 2023 Madden NFL season. Here's a look at the division standings heading into Week 15. Here's a look at the NFC playoff picture and the AFC. Alright, let's do it. So kicking off Week 15, our Thursday night matchup, we got the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, who will be without Justin Herbert for the rest of the season. So if the Chargers want a shot at clinching the playoffs, it's going to be up to Easton Stick. The Raiders get the series win over the Chargers. They win 35-21. So for the Raiders, as of right now, their season is still alive as they'll improve to 5-9. And as for the Chargers, things are just getting worse, especially without Justin Herbert from here on out. So now the Chargers are going to drop to 5-9. On to the Saturday games now. We got three of them as we got the 5-8 Minnesota Vikings taking on the 5-8 Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams wanted this one bad, but it's the Bengals who gets the win today. They win 42-28. So for the Bengals, they end a 3-game losing streak, and now they're improved to 6-8. They get a much-needed win, and that's for the Vikings. They get a loss that they did not need, as now they will drop to 5-9. In our second Saturday game, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Indianapolis Colts. The Steelers needed a field goal to tie this game up, but they failed to do it. So the Colts get an amazing comeback. They win 13-10 after being down 10-0 until the second half. So for the Colts, they win back-to-back games and they'll improve to 7-7 now. And as for the Steelers, they've now suffered back-to-back losses since their last win versus the Cardinals, as now they'll drop to 7-7 as well. In our final Saturday game, we got the Denver Broncos taking on the Detroit Lions. It was a close, low-scoring game, but the Lions do get the win, 17-14. So for the Lions, they've won 2 in a row, and they're improved to 8-6 now. And as for the Broncos, their 5-game winning streak comes to an end as they suffered their first loss since week number 8 when they lost to the Chiefs. So the Broncos are going to drop now to 7-7. Now we're on to the Sunday 1 o'clock games. As the first game we'll see the Atlanta Falcons take on the Carolina Panthers, and the winner of this game will move to first in the NFC South. Wow, what a game. But it's the Panthers that win 49-42 in the rain. What a crazy game this was. So for the Panthers, they've now get the season sweep over the Falcons, and they jump to first in the NFC South as they'll move to 9-5 now. And as for the Falcons, they did everything they could, but the Panthers was just a better team today, as now they will drop to second in the NFC South and drop to 9-5. Up next, we have the Chicago Bears taking on the Cleveland Browns. And by the way, if the Browns do lose this game, they will officially be eliminated from playoff contention due to the fact that they don't have any tiebreakers from some other teams. And it was all Bears today. They win 34-21 over the Browns. So the Bears, they keep their season alive for right now as they'll improve to 6-8 now. And as for the Browns, this was one that they did not need as they will drop to 4-10 now. And they are officially the first team in the AFC to be eliminated from playoff contention. Up next, we have the Tampa Bay Bucks taking on the Green Bay Packers. And by the way, we have another scenario. If the Packers do win this game, then they will win the NFC North. Well, it was an ugly one, but once again, Green Bay survives. They win 33-30 over the Tampa Bay Bucks. That would have been a disaster if they would have lost to the Bucks, especially with how that game was going. It was like 23-9 Bucks at one point. So for the Packers, like I mentioned, they survive and they clinch the NFC North. Congrats on them for doing that. They will improve to 11-3. And as for the Bucks, they came so close to pulling off an upset, but just wasn't enough, as now Tampa Bay will drop to 2-12. Up next, we got the Miami Dolphins, who will go without Tyreek Hill today, taking on the New York Jets, which if the Jets lose today, then the Jets will be eliminated from playoff contention as well. We got an upset. Jets take down the Dolphins 27-20. Did not see that one coming. So for the Jets, they're going to keep their season alive. They get to live to fight another week. They'll improve to 5-9 now. And as for the Dolphins, they've now lost back-to-back. They have to figure out what's going on there. Otherwise, they might be in trouble, as now the Dolphins are going to drop to 9-5. Next up, we got the New York Giants taking on the New Orleans Saints. The Saints pulled the upset win. They win 38-35 over the Giants in overtime. So for the Saints, or they win 41-35. I thought they got a field goal for a second. So for the Saints, they get the win that they needed to keep their season alive. They'll improve to 6-8, and the Giants will fall to 7-7 after coming up short. Up next, we got an AFC South matchup, as we'll see the Tennessee Titans take on the Houston Texans, who will go without C.J. Stroud today. Texans was just too much for the Titans today. They win 32-16. So the Texans, they get a much improved win, and they keep their season alive for now. They improve to 6-8. And as for the Titans, they're heading in the wrong direction, as their season is slowly but surely starting to come to an end, as now they'll drop to 5-9. And a final 1 o'clock game, we got Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs taking on Bailey Zappi and the New England Patriots. The Chiefs just continue to dominate, continue to prove that they are the team to beat. They win 34-17 over the Patriots, so the Patriots are going to drop to 7-7. And the Chiefs, they still continue to stack up wins, as now they will improve to 13-1, and they have a chance to clinch the number 1 seed in the AFC if the Ravens lose to the Jags later on. On to the 4 o'clock games now. As first up, we got a battle for first in the NFC West, as we'll see the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The 49ers take care of business on the road. They win 34-24. So for the 49ers, they get revenge after their first game against the Cardinals, as the 49ers will jump to first in the NFC West and improve to 9-5. And as for the Cardinals, they've now lost back-to-back games, as now they'll drop to 8-6. Up next, we have the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Washington Commanders. And by the way, if the Commanders do lose this game, then they will be eliminated from playoff contention. The Commanders stay alive for another week. Sean McVay is not happy about it. Commanders win 34-31. So for the Commanders, like I mentioned, they get to fight for another week, as they're improved to 5-9 now. And as for the Rams, this is one that they did not need to drop, as now their season's in jeopardy, as they'll drop to 5-9 now. In our final 4 o'clock game, we got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Buffalo Bills. The Cowboys will get the first shutout road win of the season. They win 26-0 over the Bills. Big surprise there. So for the Cowboys, they're going to improve to 8-6 now. And as for the Bills, yeah, this one was a mess for them, especially playing in the rain. They got to regroup now, as now they'll drop to 8-6. To our Sunday night matchup now, we have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And like I mentioned earlier, if the Jaguars do beat the Ravens, then the Chiefs clinch the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. The Ravens almost made a heck of a comeback, but a turnover cost them. Jaguars win 41-38. What a game this was. So for the Jaguars, they will improve to 8-6. And as for the Ravens, like I said, nearly came back, but it just wasn't enough time, as they'll drop to 9-5 now. And congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. They officially clinch the number 1 seed and home field advantage in the AFC playoffs. In our final game of Week 15, Monday Night Football, we got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Seattle Seahawks. The Eagles survive in Seattle. They win 27-24, so the Eagles are going to improve to 9-5 now. And as for the Seahawks, they've now lost 4 straight, so they got to turn things around if they want to have a shot at the playoffs, as now they will drop to 6-8. And that's going to do it for Week 15. Congrats to everyone that won today. I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to jump right into the playoff standings, starting with the NFC. Right now, the Packers are the only team to clinch a playoff spot in the NFC. They won the NFC North. We had 2 division league changes in the NFC, NFC South, NFC West, and a few changes in the wild card as well. And everyone else is still looking to clinch a spot in the playoffs. By the way, if your team is not in the hunt, that means they are eliminated from playoff contention. Other than that, if your team is in the hunt, that means they still have a shot to clinch the playoffs. Same with the AFC. If you don't see your team on here, that means they've been eliminated from playoff contention. There was a 4-way tie between the Colts, Broncos, Patriots, and Steelers for the last 2 playoff spots. And as you can tell, the Chiefs did wrap up the number 1 seed. So the Chiefs get a first-round bye, and the AFC playoffs will be going through Kansas City. There's a look at next week's matchups. And that's going to do it. I'm Robert Magic, and I'll see you all next week for Week 16 of the 2023 Madden NFL season. Have a great rest of your night, everyone.